How you doing? This is Black Shy Guy here again with another podcast episode. We're actually on episode 4. I'm here with Frank and Brian once again. We're gonna get into a topic that obviously you guys would enjoy. We're diving into gaming again. Yes, sir. I thought we'd bring it up more lively since the last episode was really about a troubling topic that's affecting our nation right now. So I thought we bring it back into gaming, back into the entertaining aspect of the podcast, back to what's going on in the world that involves some type of happiness, but you know how it goes. But yes, what's up, Brian? How you doing?
I'm good. Ready for the next episode.
What's good, Frank? Chilling?
Back at it. You already done. You know how we do.
Yeah, man. I'm not gonna tell you before we dive into our topic. I'm not gonna lie, you guys. Top Gun 2, man. It was good. it was really good, man. It was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was a good ass movie. If you take your girl to that movie, I guarantee, you guys are gonna get lucky that night. I'm just saying.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Yeah, when Tom Cruise goes up, the draw's coming down.
I'm just saying.
Come on, man. I don't think Tom Cruise got star power like that.
Nah, he has star power. He still got it. Listen, Tom Cruise is one of the stars that can still pull it off, man. He's one of the how can you say? He's one of the
one of the it guys, I guess.
Yeah, he's still one of the legends, man. That thank God we got him. Thank God we still got him. I'm not gonna lie. Thank God we still got him. Because if we didn't have him, I mean, I don't know what we would have. You know what I mean? So it was a good movie. It was actually an amazing movie. Check out part 1. But anyway, I know you guys just want to get into the topic. And we are going to discuss
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil, one of the iconic generation of games that has brought so much attention in our lives. I mean, at least in my generation, Resident Evil was one of the most iconic games. And I still remember the first time I laid eyes on that game. I still remember the first time I seen Chris Redfield on my screen. And it was surprising because it was one of the times that my brother actually introduced me to the game. He did. He was like, listen. I'm like, what? He was like, you got to play the scary game. I'm like, and you know, my brother's one of those people that when he mentions a game in a recommendation, I'm like, whatever, because he's a gamer but not really a gamer, you know what I mean? But when he mentions recommendations, I'm like, whatever, dude. I mean, but then when I laid my eyes on this game, when I went to his friend's house, his friend was Clinton, his name was Clinton, and I laid eyes on that game, I still remember the scene because his friend played the game over, played it from the beginning, where the star members were running to the mansion, right? Running to the mansion. And obviously, you know what happened. They went in the door, whatever the case may be. Albert Wesker started talking to Chris Redfield and Joe, I believe that was in the main hallway, correct? In the main lobby. Was that the situation? It was Wesker, Joe, and Chris Redfield in the main lobby. And
Barry.
And Barry, yes, and Barry, yup.
In Joe's story, Chris wasn't there. It was Barry.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
yeah, true.
Right.
Depending on who you played, it's different people in the lobby. And the first scene when he walked in, and the zombie turned around eating that dude or whatever on the ground, I was like, "What the hell game is this?" I'm like, I wanted it now. You heard me? Like, I was like, listen. And I was still a little puppeteer, you know what I mean? I was getting allowance, so you know what I mean? I was like, I'm going to save up for this damn game. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to do whatever it takes to get this damn game.
Well, let me get it here first because I'm the elder statesman of you guys, so I got a little bit of a different take on what Resident did. So
You're calling yourself an arc? You calling yourself an arc? Noah's Ark? You're that old? What are you trying to say?
Hey, it's called experience, sir. Thank you. whole experience.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So my remembrance of Resident as it came in, well, timeline. Let's just say, all right, PS1. It's on the PS1. PS1 came out in late '94. I think that's
Was that
right.
the release
Late
of the
94.
PS1? I'm not even sure,
Late
honestly. So don't get me to
maybe
lying.
early '95, something like that. See, that's sort of like the timeline. And Resident, I think Resident came out in 95, 96, something like that. 96. So it's early PlayStation 1.
Yep.
Real early PlayStation 1. There's nothing out there that's even close to this game at the time. Like Tekken Tag Tournament is the big game out. Those are the type of games that people are playing. Tekken and
those wasn't the only games though.
No question. But those are the type of games that are coming out. Those type of games.
You're right.
So Resident comes out. I don't even know it's out because I don't even know what I was playing, but I'm not playing Resident. So my little brother brings it upstairs from his friend's house, and we start playing. And I'm just amazed. I've never played anything like this. I'm like, what the hell is this? I've never seen nothing like this. I've never played nothing like this. This is totally different. All right. I'm in. So the first thing that gets me is the fact that you need to keep, like, you're in a room, you need to turn the camera, you need to keep walking. If you see a door in the room, you go up to that door. You don't necessarily mean that that's the end of the room. There could be more room. You got to keep walking, go to the end of the screen. The camera angle will change. That got me for a long time. A long time that got me. Actually, on my first playthrough, I didn't get the shotgun until after you came back from the boathouse. And if you remember, after you come back from the boathouse, that's after the hunters. That's after you meet the hunter. For my first playthrough, I'm fighting hunters with a pistol because I don't know that in the house there's a shotgun in the house because of the camera angles. You don't manipulate the camera angles. You're not going out. The shotgun is on a balcony. You have to turn that camera angle. If you remember, shotgun is on the balcony. And I can't remember what guy who has that.
Wait a minute, shotgun wasn't on the balcony though.
No,
shotgun was on a
shotgun's
room, on a
balcony.
shelf, on a room that the ceiling collapses.
No,
that's what shotgun is. Yeah, man. With Chris Angel.
See, this is I don't know. Maybe I'm playing a different.
You're probably thinking about another Resident Evil. Resident Evil 1.
No, I'm telling you go back to Resident. When you're walking up the stairs, the first, and right in the first hallway, first coming to the mansion, you go to the stairs, right? You walk up the stairs. You go to the right. You go to the right. There's a door. You pass that door. You go down to the end of the hallway. You make a right. There's another door there with a balcony. You go out on the balcony. There's a shotgun. There's a shotgun.
Sure. You're not talking about what Forrest has, because Forrest has a grenade launcher, if I'm not mistaken.
Nah, it's not the grenade launcher, because you wouldn't be able to get the grenade launcher, because this is in the beginning. I believe it would have to be in the beginning of the game, because you would get that before you go to the boathouse.
Okay.
Before you go to the boathouse to meet the hunters. Before that. Because you get the shotgun before you go to the boathouse. Please, I hope you did. Please.
Okay, man. Yeah. Don't shoot me. People in the comments, don't shoot me. But I didn't play Resident Evil 1 until the remake came out.
Wow.
But see, this is what I was saying about the timeline, because it was so early on. Resident was so early on that a lot of people wouldn't have played it.
Yeah, but I didn't jump. Like, I started Resident Evil with Resident Evil 2. So Resident Evil 1, my experience with Resident Evil 1 was the remake. So
Yeah, I think I remember you telling me that. I think I remember
I
you
tell you that.
telling me that
Yeah,
you never
you
played part
remember?
1, and I told
No,
you go
like,
play
I don't
part
know.
1.
That's a great place to start, though.
With the remake. So I started with the updated stuff, with the Lisa Trevor
Nice.
that added in and stuff like that. So
Nice.
I did go back and play it, and I'm sorry, it did hurt my eyes, but I did go back and play it and stuff like that. And I did fall in love with the cheesy dialogue where
Yes.
Wesker, he said, Jill, don't open that door. And I'm like, damn, that's
Oh my God, the dialogue was awful in that game.
Stop it! Don't open that door!
What is it? What is this?
What is it?
Blood. Hope this is not Chris's blood. What is it? What is it?
Jesus Christ, it's so bad.
You had to love it.
Then when Barry saves Jill, he's like, oh my God, you were almost a Jill sandwich. I was like, oh.
It was so bad. I mean, Jesus. I know those voice actors did not get a job after that. They couldn't have.
I'm telling you.
They couldn't have gotten a job after that.
That was great. That
But-
was great. That's what made the game great.
It did, and Frank was right. That did make, believe it or not.
Yeah,
it
but
did
let's
make-
be honest. The voice acting was so robotic. Let's be honest. It was robotic.
It was though. But that was honestly, that was my first real introduction to the quote unquote start of Resident Evil. Remember, quote unquote, we're gonna use air quotes at the time.
Indeed.
Of the beginning of what Resident Evil was. That's how I got started. That's how I really jumped in. Was the remake.
Mhm.
Even though I played Resident Evil 2, kind of didn't. I was like, I played it, but when I played the remake, I got to understand Resident Evil as a whole, and I'm like, oh, okay. So Resident Evil 2 became more clear after.
Okay, I mean, I enjoyed.
The remake did some things differently though than the original.
Yeah, it did. It did. It did a lot of things different. I mean, they added rooms.
They added
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they added rooms in the remake. It was a lot of things different in the remake. And I believe that the original Resident Evil 1, despite the remake being it was really good. The remake was really good of Resident Evil. And the plus was you didn't get to experience the graphics that was so bad in part 1. If you wanted to go back to experience those bad graphics in part 1 was brutal. So the fact that they made a remake and bless the people who wanted to actually go back to the beginning, which is not actually the beginning, and Resident Evil 0 is the beginning. But obviously Resident Evil 0 was not out at that time. But to go back and actually play from where it all started, which was Resident Evil 1, and it's a remake, better graphics, better dialogue, added features to the game, added rooms. Basically, the campaign got more broader, more wider. The story was explained much better. It's a good experience for people to go back. It made a good experience for people to go back and dive into to what was Resident Evil. But the thing about Resident Evil, despite it making a hit for all of us, I mean, Resident Evil 2, then Resident Evil 3. I mean, before we even dive further, I do want to stop at Resident Evil 2 because Resident Evil 2 basically has made such an impact on Resident Evil. I think Resident Evil 2, which was the sequel to Resident Evil 1, was one of the sequels that basically set a precedent to how to make a sequel. Because holy shit, man, to basically play two different campaigns and watch the campaign from two different perspectives, from two different characters, and make it enjoyable despite the fact that you're going into the same rooms. It was so good. And remember, the fear factor was there also with the chase of what was it? It was Nemesis. It was Nemesis, right?
Nah, it's Mr. X.
Mr. X, yes. Oh, it's crazy. Yes, with Mr. X. That was an amazing experience. And the remake of Resident Evil 2 was also top notch. Resident Evil 2, to me, I can almost say was the best Resident Evil ever made. I mean, I don't know if you guys agree with.
Boom, boom, boom. I'll cut into this one. I'll cut into this one. I'll go along with you and say that some people are gonna argue with 4. I won't. You know, hit them over the hammer. Hit them over the head with a hammer. I won't do that. I'm gonna say Resident Evil 2 was, and you said it. Real. You started something real quick, Shaka. So I'm gonna take the baton real quick. It started something called the zapping system. That was one of the first times where you played one scenario and it directly affected the other one. So you really had to play the game. You had to play the game 4 times if you want to see 4 different scenarios, but you found out the real story of what happened to these 2 people who came into Raccoon City. One was looking for her brother, the other one looking to do work, and it's like, goddamn, there's people eating people, there's people giving other people permanent hickeys on their neck, and I don't want to be a part of that, and stuff like that, and it's just a nightmare. And that story was told very well. You felt every single character, from Claire having a kind of being a big sister to Sherry, to Leon dealing with a woman who kind of didn't want to listen to him because she got on my nerves a few times where he would explain stuff to her and she would look at him like, dude, when you gonna stop talking so I can run off here? And
are you talking about Ada? You're talking about Ada, right?
Ada, like she was one of the most rudest women I've ever played a video game of having to be next to. I'm surprised Leon didn't go, yo, Muhead, I'm gonna just leave you to die or something. just don't listen.
I like Ada. I think she brought mystery into the game, because you was like, who the hell is this chick? Always appearing at the right time. I mean,
let's be serious. Leon just wanted to hit.
And maybe that too. I mean, but who can blame him? Who can blame him? Ada was a very attractive young lady.
Which, as you very well put, you know, she was mysterious at the same time, because it's like, why are you not bothered by none of this? You know what I'm saying? So I agree
because
with you.
Because she was behind some parts of what was going on. So that's why to me she was.
Yes and no. She just wanted to get the D sample from for Wesker.
Yeah, the antagonist was Birkin in part 2, right?
Yes, he was the antagonist. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
yeah. Including his wife, obviously, but his wife ended up actually helping you. And and we all know the antagonist, the most. I'm not even gonna say he's infamous. The most famous antagonist, Wesker, was the one in part 1. He was the antagonist in part 1, but not really. It was also Spencer, but he was behind the scenes. Spencer was behind the scenes.
Yes.
And we're gonna.
There's one more thing I do want to say. One more thing, real quick. There was one part in Resident Evil 2 that kind of makes me laugh, because William Birkin kind of gave his wife the one of the craziest ways of saying I want a divorce by killing her as a monster. You know? I was like, damn, just I wanted to bring the papers. Don't kill her, but all right.
Well, she could have killed him. She could have killed him first.
Yeah, she could have.
She had mercy on him.
She could have wiped them out easy. But
could have actually. Yes.
Actually, she should have. Yeah, you're right.
It would have ended a lot of problems for Leon and Claire Redfield at the time. Claire Redfield was actually the other protagonist, sister to Chris Redfield, who was in part 1. And we're gonna dive into the protagonists of Resident Evil. A lot of the protagonists in Resident Evil, which has become a debate and almost how can I say this in the right proper way, because a lot of people had their favorite protagonist that should be in the sequel. And one of my problems with Resident Evil, and I am gonna say it, because despite Leon taking the baton from Chris Redfield, okay, which I found to be understandable when it comes to business, because Leon is cool. He's like the cool character of Resident Evil because of his techniques, the way he shoots, the way his CQC with the pistol. All of that is good. When I mean CQC, I mean close quarter combat with the pistol. Chris Redfield is more of a brute type of character with his technique. You know what I mean? So for people to relate to Leon and to find him much cooler became so much easier to make him the main protagonist of Resident Evil, which Leon actually took over after Resident Evil 2. And I think he sealed it on Resident Evil 4. But we're not even near Resident Evil 4. But to me, Leon took it away. And I still like Chris better than Leon. Chris will always be my favorite. I think they strayed away from Chris a bit too much. And I think they made Chris a bit boring. I mean, am I saying it correctly? I think they made him boring.
You said 100% correct. You said 100% correct. Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know what you guys feel about the protagonist situation, and I don't know. I just what happened?
I'm thinking even reaching back to Resident 2, even where you really that 4-prong storyline telling that they did in Resident 2, that genius making that they did, that was never repeated in Resident on any other game that I could think of, to tell you the truth. I don't know of any other game that did that way. Maybe I'm not absolutely sure. Maybe Fear Effect. You guys heard of that game, Fear Effect?
Yes,
Fear
yes,
Effect,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Fear Effect was really good, but particularly for me, part 1. But yeah.
But that might have did that similar to that, but not like Resident did. That was genius. I mean, borderline genius. That storyline, that story writing, and intertwining those stories in between four ways. You're going back. You got 4 stories going on.
Yep.
4.
It was so good.
That was incredible. And for nobody, I don't know if it was too hard for people to write stories like that or whatever it was, but that genius was such genius that it needed to be, somebody needed to try to repeat it. And the fact that nobody did is a travesty of justice within itself. But in terms of
I'm sorry to barge in, but do you guys think that them making Resident Evil 3 was a big step back from Resident Evil 2?
My personal opinion, no, it wasn't a step back, but what could have happened was that they could have added on, if not made it better. Don't get me wrong, we didn't see Jill since part 1, so adding her in part 2, good idea. Good idea. Her trying to escape Raccoon City after what happened, I think that's a good idea, because you're giving another point of view of another person in the same hell as Leon and Claire. Remember, she was there at the same time.
True.
Yeah.
The story started first but ended last. Yeah, remember.
Yes,
So,
but gaming wise, when you play a game like Resident Evil 2, when you have 4 storylines, and then the sequel is Resident Evil 3, when basically, let's be honest, the game was pretty straightforward. There was no...
Yes.
But understand, they introduced... go ahead, Brian, because I got a point too. Go ahead.
Okay, so...
Finish the point.
I think I get what you're trying to, like, the ballpark you're trying to round to. Basically, when you start a formula, you should either double down on it, don't backtrack to now singular after you done basically gave us 4 stories. I get it's like a step. I get why you say that. What I was saying earlier was they should have doubled down on it. Jill should have had another person trying to escape Raccoon City as another way of giving us not the exact same thing, because as I said, just give us just tweak it a bit, and improve on it. Because honestly, there are some times where if it's not broke, don't try to fix it. If it's not broke, don't try to fix it.
In the remake, they did give her Carlos, so she actually did.
It wasn't like the way Claire and Leon.
No, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Basically, let's be honest. Jill was a real story. Carlos was, yo, I'm going to the store real quick. I'm going to the store real quick. I'm coming back to get the milk. I got the milk here. Jill, I got you your milk. You're back as the lead antagonist.
Basically.
No, I mean,
Carlos was a bodega run. He was a bodega run. That's how short his is. But I see what you're saying, Black Shirt. I see what you're saying. I don't think it was a step back as far as story wise, but maybe gaming and interactive and immersing probably was a step back.
To me, it wasn't a step back per se. Just like Drano was saying, it was. I think it's what it is just how you want to see the game, how you want to play the game. When they introduce the Nemesis, it introduced a new dynamic to the game. So you take, all right, now you're not giving me those 4 storylines, but now you're giving me the Nemesis. And if you remember Resident 3, it introduced choice.
Okay.
It introduced choice. Like the screen would blink out, blink, 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 and then it would give you 2 choices to make.
Yeah,
make a choice rather to whether I mean it wasn't crazy to where you're pretty much going to play pretty much the same story anyway, but it just gave you that option or that thinking in your mind that, all right, I'm changing the story here, or I'm choosing the way I'm making the story.
Well, it didn't change it that much because a lot of times when you got the choices wrong, you died. You know.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. It didn't change it in a way.
No, he's right. Not always.
No. But the majority of them, you died.
No. Different things.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I remember
in a different way.
A lot of them that I got wrong, you ended up dying.
It wasn't a right or wrong question. It wasn't a right or wrong. It was sort of like a left or right. It was left and right.
Yes. Well, I'm talking about. I guess we're talking about 2 different situations here because I'm talking about the options of like escaping a trap or when something was about to fall on you or something like that.
No, we're not talking about that. No,
these are storyline options.
Yeah.
Where you're going in different directions.
It's been so long since I played Resident Evil 3, and the remake was a lot different. Like, you guys are talking about the original. Because the original had those. The remake didn't have those options.
One thing, I'm gonna throw one thing in there that should make a memory pop for both of you. That damn water puzzle in Resident Evil 3. The water.
Oh my God! In the original, right? In the original.
Yes.
Holy crap! That puzzle was the hardest puzzle.
Wait a minute.
You don't remember? Oh my God, that puzzle was the hardest puzzle. You know what that puzzle reminded me of? That puzzle reminded me of that puzzle in Onimusha Part 1 when you have to release your partner from that trap she was about to drown in, or I forgot, she was about to die. That puzzle in Onimusha Part 1 when you had to rescue your companion. That was a nightmare puzzle too. There are some puzzles in some video games that you will never forget. And that puzzle in Resident Evil 3 was so damn annoying. And the problem was, right, when you replay it, it's never the same. It's like they change it around.
Oh, fuck.
It's like they're saying, sucker, you thought it was the same? You know, it was, that puzzle was annoying as hell. I mean, it was annoying to the point that every time I replayed Resident Evil 3, despite me not playing it for a while, that was a long time ago when I used to replay Resident Evil 3 constantly in the original. That was the part I dreaded most, was doing that puzzle again. Because sometimes I wanted to throw my damn controller to the TV. Like, I really wanted to.
I would really have to see the puzzle. I can't remember the puzzle. I don't know why I don't remember the puzzle.
I remember. I gotta go back and see. TV. At the TV.
Yeah,
that's how much I remember. And I remember wanting to put Shinji Mikami in a Cobra Clutch.
Oh my God.
That's comedy.
Resident Evil 3 was really good. It was really good. Obviously, the antagonist in Resident Evil 3 was Nemesis himself. And he was that's what made him even more iconic. And that's when the question went to who people started saying who was better, Nemesis or Mr. X, which was Mr. X was a tyrant, so Nemesis was the much more improved version, and
accurate.
Then came Resident Evil 4, and Resident Evil 4 blew it out the water. I literally Resident Evil 4 just took it over. And obviously, finally, we get, I'm not going to say finally, but the years in between the making of Resident Evil 2 and 4 was kind of widespread. So seeing Leon back was amazing. Like, he was, and he came back in such
a vengeance, boy.
He came back with a vengeance, because that Resident Evil 4 game was so damn good. It was arcadey, though. It was arcadey, let's be honest, because of the fact.
Four was a long time coming. It took, they went through a bunch of iterations before we got 4. It was a long time between 3 and 4. Actually, if you remember, that's just a little bit of history. Devil May Cry was born out of Resident Evil in that transitional phase.
Yeah.
When they were trying to figure out what to do with Resident Evil. Which way we gonna go? Devil May Cry was made, and that was supposed to be the next Resident.
But
they're like, nah, this is not Resident. This is not Resident Evil. This is something else. And Devil May Cry was born.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to moonwalk back a bit before we hit 4. We forgetting a game that I personally believe doesn't give as much credit, and that's Code Veronica. Before we hit 4.
Code Veronica was so damn good.
Mercy.
Code Veronica. Holy crap. Because
my God. How are we gonna forget Code Veronica?
Holy shit, that game, right? Code Veronica brung back Claire, right? And the reason I love Code Veronica so much, because finally you get the brother and sister in one game, right? And Code Veronica's antagonist, which was Alexa, right?
Alexa Ashford, yes.
It was Alexa Ashford, and
it was really her brother, because Alexa is really she was in a friggin' tube. In a trance, pretty much.
But when she came out that tube, you're damn right. My ass was shaking, man. I was scared of her. I mean, she had that one hit or quitter. She grabbed you, was done. I mean,
that was, oh man, that was that. You're right. You're so right about that. But I'll say personally, for me, the one part that got me was where Claire and Steve were on the plane. All of a sudden, we're like, okay, what's going on? And Chris was climbing the
mountain, right? He was climbing the mountain. I was like, yo, I jumped up like I was at Toys R Us, man. I was like, yeah.
The email, and he was coming in for the save.
He was coming in for the save. I'm like, yeah, get him, Chris. I was such a fucking nerd. I was like, yeah, get him, Chris. Like, shut up, man. I'm telling myself to shut up. Like, I was such a damn nerd. Like, I mean, the thing is, right? What really got me in Code Veronica, despite the fact that Chris basically made me pee my pants, but holy shit, man, was Wesker amazing in Code Veronica. Because when he fought Alexa, that blew my mind, yo. The way he fought Alexa, the way he approached her, the way he jabbed her, did that Matrix shit. And I'm like, where the hell you got them powers, Wesker? Like, where the hell what the, like.
Let me tell you, because I found out that little tidbit of information too. So, and the other thing, let me ask you this before we go into that. It's very important, damn it. Where did you guys play Code Veronica on?
I played it on the Saturn, baby. On the Saturn. I played it on the Saturn, baby. On the
Saturn.
I played it on Dreamcast.
I played it on Dreamcast too.
Oh my God. Now, wait a minute, am I confusing the Saturn for the Dreamcast? I think I played it on the Dreamcast. I'm tripping. Yep, I played it on the Dreamcast. Holy shit.
I was about to say, I didn't even know it had a Saturn.
No, I mixed it up. I'm sorry, guys. I mixed it up. I played it on the Dreamcast.
Well, you played on the Saturn? But yeah, man, Dreamcast. But the other part, because that always got to me,
God, I miss that system.
I always got to be like, where did Wesker get the powers? Like all of a sudden, you was human, Wesker. Now all of a sudden, your eyes is poking, and you doing all, and you spinning around the room, you doing somersault. Yo, where did all that come from? And I'm like, yo, and I finally got the little tidbit of information. So, in Resident 1, guys, Resident 1, when Wesker, at towards the end of the game, and it happens to either character. It happens to either Chris or Jill. When they go inside, when Wesker releases the tyrant.
Right.
Yeah.
He releases the tyrant, and he wants it to attack either Jill or Chris. He wants it to attack them, but it doesn't. When he lets it out, it attacks him first.
Right.
And then Jill or Chris have to fight it and beat it, and then they go onto the roof and finish the game. And you go finish the game, but it attacks Wesker first, hits him first, and proverbially kills him. But it didn't kill him, and you know why it didn't kill him? Because his man Birkin gave him a little dose of the G virus.
Yeah, gave him the dose of the G virus. I'm not gonna lie, Frank, I knew that though, but
I knew it too.
You're fronting right now.
Nah, I've been knew that, man. I've been knew that. I mean, that was out of the safe, out of the bag, long time ago, my friend.
Nah, I never knew where he actually. Where like I knew what happened, but I'm like, yo, how did he get his powers? Where did he get his powers from? I knew he had them, of course, but I'm like, where did he get the powers from? So they don't show him taking it, so you have to either assume it or figure it out.
Yeah, that's how Wesker got his regenerative abilities.
I didn't figure it out that was where he got it from. Like when he got hit, he should have been dead.
Oh yeah, he should have been, and
he should have been dead.
I forgot. I mean, remind me, guys, didn't they, I forgot, do you have to play the game again? Because I remember there's a scene when Wesker actually got up, where it shows him get up, right?
That is the Umbrella Chronicles. They do like a little segment where you can play as him, and he gets up, and he's actually amazed at the fact of the injection that Birkin urged him to take. Revived him.
Oh yeah. That was in the Umbrella Chronicles. The reason I don't remember is because I want to forget that game ever existed. So that's the reason I don't remember. If you guys don't know about the Umbrella Chronicles, it was the worst Resident Evil game ever made. Okay. Well, not actually, because you found out a lot of part of the stories. You found out a lot of part of the stories that didn't exist. But the game was god awful.
It wasn't. It was just the fact that it was a light gun game, or however they had it, whatever. But
Jesus,
it was a good game. That was good canon to the story.
It was a burden to get through because it played like a shooter, so you just wanted to get through the stage because you wanted to see the rest of the story. So it wasn't a joy to play through. So it became a burden. So it became it became torture to play through that game. It was just god awful.
It wasn't made for a controller. That's what it was. It wasn't made for a controller.
I don't care what it was made for. The game was awful. I don't care if it was made. It was just awful.
That'd probably be a good VR game.
You serious?
Some Umbrella Chronicles. That'd probably be a good VR game.
I won't never play that game ever again, whether they released it in VR or not. I will never touch that game ever again. Ever again. Which disappoints me because even though we got into Resident Evil 4, right? I'm gonna be honest, okay? And you guys might hate me for this, and some people may leave comments for what I'm about to say. Okay? Resident Evil 5 was my second disliked Resident Evil ever. The only thing I liked about Resident Evil 5 was the fact that I got to see Wesker again.
Okay.
Two reasons I did not like Resident Evil 5 is because it played too arcadey. Number one, it was too arcadey for me. Because like I said, Resident Evil 4 played arcadey. Resident Evil 5 kind of played arcadey, but to me, honestly, it didn't have the flair that 4 had. It didn't have, maybe because 4 was the first one who did it, so it was fresh. And number two, it involved the death of one of the greatest antagonists to me ever created for Resident Evil. So I only replayed that game one more time. Am I lying? No, I played that game at least 2 or 3 more times, and I never touched that game ever again. Because seeing the death of Wesker to me meant the downfall of Resident Evil. You know, so because I remember replaying Resident Evil 4, I think I replayed that game like 8-9 times. Like I don't remember. I don't know how many times I replayed Resident Evil 4.
Pretty much.
I mean, Resident Evil 4 was so damn good. Leon was amazing in that game. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, who was the antagonist on that game?
Sadler.
Oh yeah.
The 4. The 4 was Sadler, right? Yeah.
Sadler, yes.
I don't remember him. He's so easily forgotten for some reason.
Because he wasn't.
You know,
he wasn't really. He didn't leave a. You just knew he was the last bad guy, but he didn't leave a presence. Like you remember Krauser. You remember Krauser.
Yeah, Krauser. Oh my God, why did they get rid of that guy? Like why?
They didn't realize what they had. You know, sometimes you have a gem, you don't realize that he could be a recurring antagonist. Sorry, he could be a recurring one and stuff like that. But
he didn't actually die in 4, did he?
Yeah. Yes.
I thought he died somewhere else.
You think Krauser was a strong enough character to like carry something?
You kidding me?
He could have been a recurring. Meaning
he could have been a recurring antagonist.
He could have been a recurring antagonist.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't think Krauser was cool enough to be placed in another chapter of Resident Evil?
I guess. Yeah, I guess like you say.
You out of your goddamn mind, man.
Leon, remember, he has history with Leon. Yes.
Exactly, man.
So it leaves open. It leaves an opening for him to come back, be an asshole, be a thorn in somebody's side. Basically, Leon and Ada. That's 2 people. That's easy. That's an easy storyline. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
mercenary for hire. He could have been even a thorn on Chris's side. I mean, Krauser was good. I think they killed him off way too early. Just like they killed off Wesker way too early. I don't know what the writers were thinking. They all should have been fired. The one who basically condemned those 2 to death. How you condemn Krauser and then you condemn Wesker? Oh my God! I don't know. And then Resident Evil 5 to me, a lot of people thought it was great. I thought it was okay. I mean, I didn't. But to me, that was the second worst game ever made.
Understand what Resident Evil was, and understand the place and time where Resident 5 stands. You in a space where Gears of War is out now. Gears of War is out, and there's co-op games up the wazoo all over the place. It's co-op games. So Resident needed to do that also. The Resident needed to come back with something strong. They now they have it's a formula. Now with Resident 4, now we got the engine. Okay. Now we got the engine.
Yep, they used the engine.
4 engine, and now let's add on. All right. Let's put co-op in it. Gears of War is a smash hit. Horde is a smash hit. You gotta implement these. It's corporate, babe. You gotta implement these things into your game.
You actually think you actually think they implemented the engine in Resident Evil 5 good? I don't think the engine worked as good as it did for Gears of War.
I just finished playing 5 with my brother co-op a couple of months ago on the hardest difficulty. It's decent. The difficulty spike, what you have to do, the co-op aspect, communication, coordination, weapons, it's all there. Everything you need in the game to have that. I'm not gonna say it's gonna wow you. I'm not saying it's gonna wow you.
It didn't wow me.
Definitely, it's serviceable.
I think
it does what it's supposed to do, and it does the things that it's supposed to do well. It does those things well. I can't front on it. I just played it a couple of months ago.
All right, I'm gonna have to interject with this one. I'm gonna sit there and say I don't think Resident Evil had to do it, even though Gears of War was opening up a new market with, hey, co-op, people want to play it. The only reason I don't think Resident Evil had to do it, we have two examples, 7 and 8. Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 8 showed that people want the singular horror experience. Co-op wasn't needed.
Exactly.
Were they trying to probably add on to it? Yes. You know how, oh, let's try to join it. But did they have to? No. That's, to me, trying to join a ship where you don't need a boarding pass to. Let them do that. Resident Evil don't need that. They want to try something. To me, they didn't really succeed. As Black Shy Guy said, I think it was okay at best. When you see Chris Redfield, if he's not with Jill, leave him alone. He don't need a partner. He didn't need a partner. It was fine. And also, I agree with Black Shy Guy saying you killed Wesker off too early. To me, Wesker was the antagonist of Resident Evil. He could have been behind the scenes doing stuff. And to me, when you kill Wesker, Resident Evil should end. That's the way it should have been. That's when, okay, we stop Wesker, it's over. Killing him off too early, and as if the animated movies is a test to this, as a form, as an indictment. They try to actually recreate sort of Wesker 2 times with the Russian president and Glenn Arias.
I think they succeeded with the Russian president.
They did, but what did they do? Where is she now? It's like, oh, we want to do something else. No, they're trying to recreate Wesker, but you had Wesker. Why kill him?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If it's if it's not broke, do not fix it. Leave
I'm
it
saying, my God.
And what Resident Evil 5 did, and what Resident Evil 5 did to what it actually did to Resident Evil, to me, which was the first time they kind of strayed off from the horror, because when you add a second player with you, you're not scared. You're not as scared. The fear is gone, and then and Resident Evil started out as a horror game. You wanted that fear factor. You wanted to be worried about what was going to be behind that door you go through. And Resident Evil 4, yes, it changed the horror aspect a little, also for the simple fact that, remember, that opening the door thing in Resident Evil 1 and 2, and even in 3, and when the screen basically opens up to show you what's actually in that room that you just opened up, that fear factor was there. And then when 4 came out, when you opened the door and it immediately showed what was in the room, the fear factor kind of went lower, but it was still there with 4. 5 completely removed it with the co-op, because how many times did you use Shiva as a punching bag so you can get away or get a better advantage against the boss? It was just the fear was truly gone from Resident Evil 5. I was not scared one bit in that game. And I think that's when the fear factor for Resident went down. It went truly down. There was not one part in Resident Evil 5 that I was actually scared. My heart didn't pump one bit.
That's not what the game was made for. You're missing what that particular game was for. That particular game, 5, was not made to scare you. It was made to be a action game, just as 6 was, because this is the direction they were going. They're moving away from horror. They want to go to action, because action is what's selling. Well, horror wasn't selling per se like they wanted it to sell. Or I guess the numbers weren't out that would say, you know what, horror games are selling, and let's make a horror game. Action games are selling. And action games are what we want to be closer to, and that's what they made for those 2 iterations. 5 and 6 are action games, okay? Because that's where the direction was going. It's like sort of like the you guys are telling me about the about Halo, the way Halo needs to go to what's it called? They need to do more battle royale. It's just a thing where it's progression. Yeah. And that's the same thing that they thought that they were doing. They said, you know what? Progression is, action. Well, so let's go that line.
But I think it's different when it involves multiplayer. When you remove yourself from what you are, Because when I go play Resident Evil, I want to play a horror game. You
That's
understand
why
what
they
I'm
went
saying? When I play
That's why
Resident
they
Evil, I
went
want to
back.
play a horror game. I don't want to play a multiplayer action game. When
That's why they went
when
back.
I'm in the mood to play a multiplayer game, I go to a multiplayer game. I don't want to play a multiplayer game into the horror game that I want to play. Because I want to feel
Indeed.
scared. I want to feel worried when I go around the corner. So what I do, I go play Resident Evil, or I go play Evils Within, or I go play Dead Space. When I play horror, I want to play horror. I don't want to play a multiplayer game. So I think Resident Evil changed its identity with Resident Evil 5. And
See
I
that?
think I think it was the wrong decision to do. And I think horror games did sell because I think Resident Evil, every single chapter of Resident Evil sold well. So for you to stray away from what you are, that's why so many people were upset. Why do you think Resident Evil was it? Correct me? Resident Evil 6. Which one was that?
That was the one
That's
where you had like 4 or 5 protagonists from Leon, Jake,
Wesker's son.
Yeah, exactly. Why did that fail? Because the only campaign that was worth playing was Leon's.
It was garbage. That's what.
but what you said. But I'm sorry, I have to say this again. This was the second time where, as you said, Black Shot Guy, Capcom should not have strayed away from who they are. This is the second sin. And when people mention Resident Evil 6, they only mention Leon's campaign.
Yup.
It blended a little bit of what they remember with the zombies and with the action.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Resident Evil 5, they went off the rails to try to be something that they're not. Like in this world, what they always tell you: be yourself, be who you are, be what. Use what got you to the table.
Exactly. You're a horror game.
And Resident Evil 4, to be perfectly honest, and Black Shack, I said this perfectly again, I'm going to double down. Did the horror go down a bit? Yes, it did. But there were creepy moments.
Yep, exactly. There were
creepy moments in Resident Evil 4. Even though the door aspect, or you wondering what's behind the door, it was gone. But there were a few times where I was like, oh snap, what I'm going to do? Because I got two people. One dude that reminded me of Wolverine, the blind dude that reminded me of Wolverine, him, and stuff like that. You had creepy people coming after you. So there was still some, not horror per se, but there was some creepy factor. Resident Evil 5 was Chris of Duty. That's what it was.
Yeah, exactly. It was Chris of Duty.
Basically.
It was so bad. I mean, Resident Evil 6 was Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6 was a joke. For them to make Chris Redfield again be an action star in the game was so ridiculous.
Exactly.
Why would I want to play Chris and shoot and
He's
I'm
a soldier. Understand?
it was
They
ridiculous.
take
I
him
can't
at.
believe you're making excuses for them, Frank. I can't believe it.
Dude,
the game was horrible.
I'm telling. It's not I'm making excuses. It's I understand what they're doing. I understand what they're doing. I understand the mistakes, even though they're mistakes. I understand what they're doing, and I understand why they're doing it. It's because of the way the world is. It's like everything else. Somebody in a board meeting said, "Yo, dude, these action games is going crazy out there, man. I think we need to go lean toward that. Chris is a soldier. Let's make it more like Call of Duty. Chris is a soldier."
And I bet that dude had his resignation papers right after that, because I would have been like,
Yup.
yo, get out right now.
I think
right
he's
now.
still collecting
He might
unemployment at this point in time.
He
Because-
might have, but at the time, he was considered a genius. He was like, you know what? You right, guys. Chris of Duty, just like you said.
So and guess what? That was also probably the same dude that said, yo, man, Chris was in the gym with Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's why he has arms like this. Now, who cares?
Yes.
Who cares? Who cares?
I'm telling you,
Who cares?
his locker was emptied out the minute the reviews came out, and the players were complaining about the fact that Leon's campaign was the only one worth playing. I mean,
Now, and it was the precursor to 7, because that's what people saw. When 6 came out, people were like, oh my God, this game is trash. But I love Leon's campaign.
Yup.
I love Leon's campaign. All that other stuff, whatever. flee on and do that again and again and again. And that's what the precursor was to 7. Then they found it. Then Capcom figures it out. Again, what people say to them, Capcom figures it out. Oh, yo, maybe we need to go back to what we originally do here. And we get 7.
Yep.
And 8. And 8.
7 was amazing. 7 was so good. And the fear factor of 7 was crazy. And the thing is, what I'm really happy about, and I hope they don't dive back into, I hope they leave it in the past. I hope they really do leave that part of Resident Evil storyline in the past. Is Wesker's son, because he was so bad. He was so bad.
Yeah, that was horrible.
I mean, to be Wesker's son and to basically make him a man who seems like he never experienced a female in his life, because that was basically his his MO was like
get money. Fuck bitches, get money.
Yeah, it was like he was unbearable and so boring to play with. I'm like, listen, I don't even want to touch this character. I think there was an option, right? There wasn't an option to skip a campaign or whatever. You had to play through.
I wasn't doing that.
His story, oh my God, was so bad. I mean, his campaign was the one that made me not want to play the game again. Like I was like, I do not want to.
Dude, you Wesker's son and you sweet on some chick?
Yeah,
what?
like. I mean, where's your ambition, man? Where's your ambition? Where's your drive to be the best? Where's your drive to basically control at least the better part of the world because of what you got, the powers that you possess? You're supposed to have Wesker's some type of, his mental, some type of mental capacity of Wesker, like, but he didn't have it. He had, I don't know what he have. I don't care what he has. I hope he's gone from Resident Evil. I hope for some reason he went on a faraway trip and never to return again. Because you know what they could have done with him? They could have made him evil. They could have made him be like, Chris, I'm gonna kill you.
Better.
Huh?
They could have made him better. They just could have made him better.
No, they could have made him evil.
Made him better.
They could have made him evil. He would have been way better. They could have made him evil. If they would have made him evil, he would have been way more interesting.
All right, one thing I need to switch speeds here, because me and Jermaine don't need to talk. And Shy Guy, I don't know if you could necessarily speak on this subject. Okay. But Jermaine, I know you could speak on this subject, and it needs to be spoken on. And this is really important, dude. Mercenaries from 4, 5, and 6.
Of course I can speak on the subject. I remember we was gaming on that.
Now, I don't know. Now, myself and Drano, we were playing together on that. I don't know if I saw you so much on that, Shy Guy.
Yeah, I was playing a lot. No, a lot of times I played it, and there was times that we all played. We all was together. But
okay.
But
how great was it?
It was really. I really enjoyed it. I really liked it.
I enjoyed that.
I really liked it.
It needed a little bit of tweaking. It needed a little bit of tweaking to be more like Gears of War Horde.
Mm-hmm.
The time things, the time lamps, whatever. They needed to eradicate that. They needed to eradicate those time lamps and just let it be about, survive until you die.
Okay, all right.
That's what it needed to be about.
I don't think there was anything wrong with the time thing, though, honestly. I mean, you're talking about the time extension, right? The time extension thing?
It made the game too short.
There was 2 modes. There wasn't one. There was 2. There was the time one, and there was the one where you gotta you basically go and try to beat the waves. There was 2. There wasn't one.
Yeah, I played the one a lot where the time was extended. Depending on I don't know how it actually went.
I remember one that had just per se waves, because that's what they really needed. With just one that just had waves.
That would have been better.
I knew was the time lamps, and you hit the time lamp and you did a couple of extensions, but it's on a time thing. And the game would always end when you got a bunch of stuff in your inventory and there's enemies all over the screen, and you in fighting mode and you ready to burst off, and the game and it's just you're like,
it was I know exactly what you mean,
because it just kept going.
And they should have just kept going.
They had a gem. They had a gem with that. A gem. They just needed to expand on it. You got the characters. How many protagonists? How many characters you got in Resident?
Yep.
In terms of fighters, how many monsters you got? Even on the cutting room floor, monsters that didn't make the game. All those monsters could come in now. You could bring all those monsters in.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It would. I mean, Capcom, are you listening? Capcom.
I doubt they're listening because I doubt they're listening because I don't know where they're gonna take. I don't know where they're gonna take Resident Evil 2 now. After 8. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about 8. I did enjoy 8. 8 to me had the most scariest scene in Resident Evil ever.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Oh, that sequence.
That sequence with the dollhouse.
Oh my God.
Was the most scariest scene in any Resident Evil from all 8. Obviously, Resident Evil had more than 8 games because they had Code Veronica, they had Zero, they had a whole bunch.
Helpless. You were helpless. You had no weapons. You were at the mercy of whatever was going on.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
That, oh my God, it was so. And you talk to anyone who played 8, that's the scene they remember. That's the part they remember. They're like, oh my God, that dollhouse scene was so scary. And when the baby pops up, I mean, I'm sorry for all those who didn't play the game. I mean, hey, if you didn't play the game, then you deserve to be spoiled. You deserve a spoiler alert, because how dare you? But when the baby came and chased you, that was another thing. And you know what's funny though? I mean, let's dive a little bit into that. I learned so much after playing again that holy crap. Look at that. I can hide under the bed. I can go in the closet. I learned so much after playing it again.
I played Outlast, so I knew you could hide. I tried to hide in different places because you got a screaming baby coming after you with, worse than Stewie from Family Guy. You got him coming trying to basically devour you. I'm hiding somewhere. I'm not your father. I'm hiding somewhere. Like, we're not doing that.
Resident Evil 8 was I really enjoyed it. It was so good. And seeing Chris Redfield finally back. But the only thing I was scared of is when you finally get to touch Chris Redfield, they went back to that action thing again. You notice that in that end, the action came back. I was like, oh my God, are they ever gonna let Chris go back to the horror feel that Leon has? Are they always gonna put Chris in that action part and that action sequence that you gotta pick up bullets, you reload, you're picking up clips, you're doing this, you're doing that, in the third, you're throwing grenades? It's like, can y'all let Chris live? Can y'all let him go back to the way he was? I mean, I know he's a soldier, but still, you gotta let him go back to what he was before. I mean, and I'm surprised they didn't add a mercenary in Resident Evil 8, because that would have been perfect.
I'm shocked at that as well.
Wait a minute, did they add a mercenary in there?
Yeah, but it's single player. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. That's why I didn't play it, because it was so. Yeah, I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, they did have a mercenary in there, and I didn't play it because it was so. I don't know.
It's single player. What are you?
Yeah, I want to play with people, man. I want to play with.
Yeah, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Like, why would you?
There is one thing that I gotta say. Even though I like Resident Evil 8, there's one thing I do think that they missed a missed opportunity. Lady Demetress, the basically the big tall female that was that in there, they killed her off too soon. She should have been chasing you throughout the game.
Yeah, they killed her way too soon, and she looked good.
And she, I'm not
This
gonna
one
lie.
over here.
I wouldn't mind her, those
Oh,
fingernails
wow,
are
take it easy.
long, but I don't need her
Take it
lady
easy.
death striking me, but whatever.
Take
But-
it easy.
But
She
she
can
should have
grab
been
me.
chasing you throughout, but in a different way than Nemesis. We had that in part 3 and we had that in part 2. I understand that. But she should not have been scripted. If y'all remember the remakes for Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, Nemesis was scripted chasing you
Mhm.
majority of the time. This one should have been part of the story and unscripted times where she's just coming after you. Because remember, she had a hate for Ethan. She had a hate for him.
Yep.
So that hate should have been throughout the game, and maybe she could have ended up as the last antagonist. Maybe some way, somehow, or so. Or maybe she's the second to last antagonist where you finally kill her. But that was a missed opportunity of her just coming after you, her being annoyed of you getting away. Every single time I felt that was a missed opportunity from Capcom. Because many people, if you look at the forums, many people loved her. They loved her.
Yeah, I mean,
my
they
God.
loved her honestly
Dude.
because of her voluptuous body. To be
got
honest,
some
she was an internet
Triple
sensation.
Ds.
She was an internet
Triple
sensation.
Ds. Triple D's, baby.
Yeah, I mean,
Don't get me wrong, it was good to look at, but she was also a villain. You was like, I could see.
yeah, absolutely. But they did sexualize her in that game heavily.
Yeah.
They
Yes,
did
they did.
sexualize her in that game
please.
heavily.
Did you see that what they did on the internet with her?
Exactly.
Oh my
When
God,
she's chasing you in a
costume.
thong, when
Oh
she's chasing
my
you in a
God.
bikini, a nightgown, I'm like,
killing her.
holy crap.
Killing her on the internet. Oh my goodness, yo. Photoshop is the devil.
Yeah, I mean, holy shit. Like they really went ham on that. And I know
Oh, my
for a
goodness.
fact that Capcom was like, damn, yo, now everybody knows that we sexualize this character. Because now sexualization of a female now in a video game is frowned upon heavy. So, I
Yes.
mean, it is what it is. I mean, now Lara Croft can't even wear pom pom shorts anymore because it's so sensitive now. But that's another freaking topic. But Resident Evil, is Ethan dead?
For what we know for now, he is dead. I'm gonna just run with that. For what we know for now, he is dead. Because at the end, they did say the father's story is over.
Exactly,
At the end-
because now the one in the end there was his kid, right? The one in the
Mhm.
end was his kid. But what is the direction of Resident Evil now? Are they going in the direction of following that kid now? Is the Jill, Chris Redfield, Barry, or are those protagonists being put to the side for this kid?
In my opinion, out there, I don't think they should do that. Because she's not big enough to lead.
Absolutely not, and she doesn't have the hearts of the original.
She's not ready. She's not ready yet. And honestly, we still got the stories with. I mean, let's be honest. We haven't seen Jill since what? Her somewhat appearance in Resident Evil 5.
Yeah.
She has
Dude,
anything.
dude. We haven't seen Sherry's story. Where's Sherry?
Where's Barry?
She was 6. She was Barry or Sherry. Which one?
Both. I mean, because Barry, we haven't seen him since his game, and Barry's game was awesome.
That was.
Yeah, I actually liked it. But remember, he was in a game with Claire. Revelations 2.
Yeah, I mean that's the one I'm talking about. We haven't seen him since then.
Okay, but I mean, no, you're right. You're right. But they have. I get what you're saying. They have unfinished business. I get
Yeah,
what you're
exactly. And Barry was so enjoyable to play with. I liked him a lot.
saying. Oh, for the first
The
time in a long
Revelation games. I didn't like the Revelations games though.
What? No? You didn't like the
Revelations
Wow.
games weren't that good.
Wow.
I liked
why?
it.
Like good. They just didn't seem like Resident games to me. They seemed like more.
Was it because
more
Barry was
action, too
protecting the
much
little
action
girl
filled.
the majority of the time?
No, it just seemed like it was more action filled. Like it didn't have that fear factor. I needed more. It was like more of the same when it came to those type of games. Like we were saying, like it was getting away from the horror tropes, and it felt like this is getting away more from the horror tropes. I like the remember the what was it? The I don't know what they was called. Remember the episodic content that Resident had? They had some episodic content.
That was Revelations. Revelations
Yeah,
2
Revelations.
But there was also a game. Revelations had they also had a game, like a standalone game.
Part one was Chris and Jill, and for Revelations, yes, for
Yeah,
3DS.
and they capitalized it with the episodes of Barry.
Yep, and then the other ones had the episodes with Barry. Yes.
Yeah.
That stuff seemed decent.
Yeah, I like
it. That stuff seemed decent.
But that's Revelation. That's Revelations too. You said you didn't like it.
It's Revelations. It was Revelations 1, and there's Revelations 1 and 2.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
You gotta love Revelations 1 and 2. Now, one was the episodic content, I believe. Two.
Part two was
the episodic.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I got them here too. I'm just mixing them up.
Because they wanted to show you Barry's perspective.
Because Resident Evil 1 was the Queen Zenobia, the ship. Remember?
Yeah.
And they had that. There was that thing with the cruise. That was part 1. That was Revelations 1. Part 2. And part 2 was with Barry and his daughter and Claire.
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah. So just remember.
That stuff was good.
Yeah.
That stuff was good.
That's what we're saying. It Resident that
was
Resident
good.
Evil was really good because they took it back to where Resident Evil was. They took it back to the horror in that one.
Indeed, that stuff was good stuff.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know where Resident Evil was going now. I don't know what the direction they're going now that little girl showed up and now. I mean, it was just weird. The ending, like the ending was weird. Like they were, and then the person who showed up to her, they didn't show who it was. I mean, that could have been anyone.
We still don't know.
That could have been anyone. That could have been. I was thinking maybe that's Wesker or something. I don't know, but the fact that she looked at him with like he looked familiar and she knew him. It had to be someone who's raising and protecting her, showing her slowly what her powers are able to do. And think about it, she can't be a playable character. Her powers are too powerful. Like she'll be the most powerfulest character ever in Resident Evil.
That's another thing too. I'm glad you said that because she alluded to the fact that she has powers that Chris don't even know.
Exactly.
Means what? You're super strong, and then what's the reason of playing with you? Because you won. You won.
And no one can stand in front of you. Like is no point and making her a protagonist in any game. It'll just be like playing a different game. You won't be playing Resident Evil. You'll be playing a Devil May Cry. You know what I mean? Like it's Devil May Cry if you make her a protagonist. I hope they don't go that route. I hope that Resident Evil sticks to the horror, and I think Resident Evil, I don't know if you guys, I would like your perspective on this. I really want you guys to answer this question. Like, I really think Resident Evil, they have to almost bring it to a conclusion. There has to be an ending. You can't go on to this. Can't be no damn Fast and Furious saga going on. You can't have a Resident Evil 11. You know, like the story has to have an ending, because number one, the people who grew up with Resident Evil, what you're gonna have them all die off before they see the actual conclusion of the game they grew up with?
I agree.
You have to have a conclusion finally. It has to be an ending, and I don't know what you guys think about that.
I think it gotta break off. I don't think. I mean, ultimately, you gotta understand that this is about money. So you're right. You don't want the Resident Evil name to die, even though there's movies, there's books, per se. But where it started at is with the games, and I don't know how the games and the books and the movies, how it levels up, what makes more money. But I would think that you would need all of it in order for it to work. You just can't have the movies and because without the games and the books per se.
Books have endings though. Books have endings.
Indeed, but this is such a lauded franchise that in order for it to make money, you can't end it. You got to keep it going somehow. But I think it just has to find some new avenues, and I don't think they found those avenues because, like, I think when they try to kill off Wesker, that was trying to find a new avenue. Like, they need to start going in some new directions.
They got to go in a new direction when it
love
comes to the
Wesker.
movies too.
Indeed, they need to do something different with the movies. I didn't see that that last iteration what they made. That was the Resident Evil 1 movie.
Yeah, I didn't see it too. Brian seen
good.
it. I mean, was it that bad, Brian?
Well, I'm sorry. Y'all seen Code Veronica? How she makes the eyes bleed? They did that without her even trying. My eyes was bleeding throughout that movie.
Oh wow!
Crazy. I can't imagine.
Bad.
I can't imagine.
I can't believe it.
Crazy. Crazy. And the trailers look so good. That's what really got me with that, because I'm like, oh, the trailers look so good. And
the trailers look what?
Things that they did
What you mean the trailers look so good? Leon looked like Santiago, dude.
The trailers are right in line with the story. You look at the trailers, and if
you like the way Leon look, I gotta stop you because you're embarrassing yourself. You telling me Leon look good?
Dude, you could see where it's not about them looking good. It's about them playing the parts of those scenes. And when they're playing those parts in those scenes, it's believable. It takes you back to the game where those scenes are being played, and now they're actually playing the scenes that were played out in a video game. It was something to see.
All right. No. Leon looked like an ox at the bodega who makes your bacon, egg, and cheese the way you like it every single time. I can't take that. No.
Oh man.
No. Now, also, I have to say again, on top of that, he was, I mean, yes, he was a rookie, but it didn't mesh well. Then on top of that, Jill was the marksman of the team, which we all know is Chris Redfield down to a T. She was the marks, that's never accurate. And also she was, they did dumb jokes, the Jill sandwich again, whatever. And it wasn't done. The mansion looked nice, but there was no, which Black Shy Guy did, me and Black Shy Guy did talk about this, what they should have done. And Black Shy Guy is 100% correct. That mansion should have been like the way Saw was. You step on something, a trap, or something like that. That would have added something to why people couldn't just go to that mansion and find out the secrets. Why the researchers had to remember, oh shit, if I don't put this in, there's a trap here. That wasn't done. And that just wasn't done correctly. Oh God.
I mean that I'm not
That's
even getting it.
Travesty.
I'm not even giving that movie rental money. I'm not giving it nothing. I mean, if I want to watch somebody make a sandwich, I don't have to watch Resident Evil. I can just go to the bodega and watch somebody make a sandwich. I don't need. I mean, no offense to the Latinos, because I'm a Latino too. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, I just don't need Leon looking like a Latino. He's not Latino. Period. He's not. So
I'm sorry.
I'm not digging. Even the trailer did not look good. I don't know what Frank was watching. I think you confused it when you was playing the game and you thought that was the trailer. I think that's what happened. I mean, that's what happened, right, Frank? Wink, wink. You know.
No, man. I'm telling you that it was so spot on to what they was doing to the game that well, you know how to. Of course, in a trailer, they're gonna put out their best stuff. Whatever looks the best, that's what they're gonna put out.
Well, they failed in my problem. All right. People in the comments, y'all can kill them. People in the comments, y'all can kill
I
them.
have to add one more thing. Lisa, Trevor, and Claire were best friends from a treehouse. After I saw that, we can end the movie right there. We can end the movie.
They were best friends in a treehouse?
No, I'm making a joke.
Okay. Friends. I was like, wow, they really fucked up.
They were best friends. That never happened. Lisa, Trevor had no friends.
Nope.
Nope. Again, I'm sorry. Basically, the scenes that they showed, basically, they caught some people. Frank, you were hook, line, and sinker. They dangled the carrot in front of you, and you was ready to. You was off at the races.
Yeah, I mean they
Yeah.
caught big, and the fact that Frank, you're a hardcore Resident Evil head. The fact that they caught you, man, oh man, that's not bad. That's bad. I mean, they caught other Resident Evil heads, and
Yeah.
those people probably
Yeah.
came out the theater like, "Whoa, it was amazing!" I mean, give me, and no.
Well, I didn't get caught because I didn't see. I still haven't seen it. I
But
still
thank
haven't
God
seen
you
it.
did it. I
Oh,
saw it for free, and I'm like,
God.
why the hell I saw that? That
Exactly.
was
So I'm saying.
that was an hour and maybe 45 minutes of my life I'll never get back.
Jesus
Wow.
Christ. I would
Uh,
oh my God. I would have thrown something I would have thrown something at the movie screen. Like I would have thrown something literally at the movie screen if I would have wasted my time watching that garbage of a movie that they made. And it was just, it was like, I guess Brian watching that movie was like me watching Fast and Furious 9. I mean, maybe it was like it was that, because that movie also was atrocious. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. They need to figure out what they're gonna do with Resident Evil the game. They need to figure out what they're gonna do with the Resident Evil the movie. I don't know where they're going story wise. I don't know where they're going movie wise. But Resident Evil to me needs a conclusion. I mean, before we ended off though, Brian, you didn't tell us what you thought about if they should conclude Resident Evil or not, though. I mean,
Okay, you're absolutely right. I'm gonna say that, but there's also one more thing I'm gonna say after that. So I'm gonna start with to answer your question. I agree. It's a long time coming. Don't get me wrong. I love Resident Evil for what it was and what it started with. Zero, as we put it. I want to sit there and say that just like The Walking Dead, how to me it lost its luster for sticking around too long. Resident Evil is kind of I wouldn't say it's approaching that, because people love 7 and 8. Don't get me wrong, people love it, but every story needs to come full circle at a certain point, and Resident Evil to me is approaching that point. They need an end game. They need an Avengers end game very soon.
exactly.
Very, very soon. Another thing, as I said, to piggyback on that, Zero was a good iteration, which I wouldn't mind seeing Rebecca also in something going on. In something going on. Maybe Billy too, maybe Billy Cohen too, because that was also a slept-on iteration that actually added to some story, lore, and created some very good mystique towards the Resident Evil franchise. So I'm just gonna say that about Zero. But it does need to end. And one last thing is I think I'm gonna ask both of y'all. What is it with Capcom and Resident Evil and their tyrants always got a trench coat on? Mr. X to the dude in Resident Evil 4, the village elder, and that monster with the axe in Resident Evil 7. What is it? It's like they go to the store and say, "Yo, put them all in the trench coat. I want it in black. Put it all in black."
I think it's just the I think it's the trademark. I think it's just the trademark.
Same store or something. All the tyrants go, "Yo, what you got? Let me get that too."
It's almost
always raining in Raccoon City.
Yeah, I think it's just the trade. I think it's just the trademark of the antagonist, that they need to be wearing a coat that hides their deformity. So when you hurt them long enough, you finally see what they possess, like a claw or whatever. You know, they like.
Yes, I guess. So I guess they go in the mirror and go, "Wait till they get a load of me." As if you ain't look like the dude from the last one who got shot. Okay, all right. Worry, surprise. No worry.
My thing is, I would hate to be that Taylor. Dudes is like 12 feet tall.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Jesus.
Like, God damn.
Oh my God.
Using up all my material in here, yo. What the fuck? Damn.
I think the final Resident Evil needs to bring back all the protagonists together and finalize the story. Like, all of them bump into a certain spot where they all happen to meet. Barry, Chris, Jill, Claire, who else? Come on, guys.
Leon,
Who else?
Ada.
Leon, Ada.
Maybe Rebecca, and that's it.
Rebecca, obviously, and unfortunately, Wesker's son, Sherry. All of them need to come back to, because you want to finalize the story. It has to have, remember, like you said, the story has to come full circle, and it has to end at that point in time where everybody, for some odd reason, is, why are you here? Why are you here? And everything, the answer to what they're all looking for is in that particular spot. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And that would be a really good conclusion to Resident Evil. And yes, to make it really epic, someone has to die. Like, someone has to bite the dust.
I was about to say that.
You have to kill somebody off. You have to, because that will really finalize the game. Like, somebody has to die. And to me, I think it will have to be kind of Leon, because you really finalize the story if you kill off the one who has become the main protagonist of the game. You know what I mean? It has to be Leon or Chris. To me, Leon has to be the one that goes, because that to me it's kind of, especially for the young people who grab Resident Evil, it's more of an impact if he goes. You know what I mean? But
okay, I guess we're doing a Tony Stark and Captain America thing for Endgame. Okay,
yeah,
I got you.
Yeah, even if it's both of them, have to, they both go. Like, they had to do something. And, like, for example, I'm just throwing a hypothetical out there. You know how in Resident Evil, in every end of the game, there's an alarm that burn, you gotta get out and self-destruct or whatever the case may be. Both of them has to stay, because one has to keep the monster away from the other one, who has to hit the button to initiate the self-destruct. And for some reason, they get closed off in that room with the monster, and they have to leave. The rest of them have to leave, and the whole building obviously blows up like every other Resident Evil. And that's how they die off. But they gave their life for that purpose, to shut down that last facility that has the last virus containing in it. And also, everybody else gets out, but they have to fight the last and final antagonist of Resident Evil. And who knows who that antagonist can be, you know. But obviously, like Frank says, it's a business, right? It's a business. Resident Evil can continue, but it can continue in movie or animated form, like they're doing in Netflix. It can continue like that. But to me, the game has to be finalized. Like, I mean,
if they would do that, I would want them to do it sort of like in the vein of Resident 2. Like, you got all these characters that you want to bring back. You got a bunch of characters you got to bring back. So do it like in that vein of Resident 2. You haven't used the formula in 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Use the formula again. That would give you the room and space to bring back all those characters.
That's true.
Because now you got 4 campaigns.
Yep, you're 100% right.
To go through. And you can bring back all these people, and you can bring all the storylines to make them all intertwined, and that's how you do that.
And then you can keep it pushing, because the downloadable content could be, hey, you're gonna play Barry's side. Hey, now in this one you're gonna play so and so's side, because there's so many protagonists in the game that you can continue adding downloadable content for months on end after the game. So
truly, that's what they wanted to do.
I agree. That's the one time I would not mind downloading content, because I'm like, this makes sense. This is the last iteration, and you gotta have a complete story for all these characters. I wouldn't mind the downloadable content. That makes sense. That makes absolute sense. I do agree with you. Someone do have to die to make it more, an ending, conclusion of some sort, a finalization, if you will. The only thing is, I'm gonna throw a curve, a theory. If you bring Wesker's son, they should somehow bring Wesker back.
Well, you got the DNA.
Yeah, you got the DNA. If they do bring him back, they gotta bring back a copy of him. Like, it has to be a scientist that says we remade Wesker with this, and we managed to save a DNA in that situation where he died, and we copied him. You know.
Yes.
And he has his memory. He remembers how he died. He remembers who Chris is and everything, because remember, all they did was use the DNA and regenerate him back. So
Mhm.
that's the way they can bring him back. Sadly, it will be in a position that he's gonna die right away again, but it will be an epic ending. Like if
Now,
the epic ending will be Leon and Chris versus Wesker. Like that
mm-hmm.
ending scene when the characters gotta go and Chris and Leon says, go, we gotta hit the button and etc. etc. You guys go. This place has to be destroyed, etc. You know, blase. Wesker tries to stop him, and they close the door behind Wesker because if they don't close the door, Wesker is gonna go after the rest of them. So
Right.
the ending scene, let's say, I'm just throwing a hypothetical out there. The ending scene cuts off to the people running out of the building, and obviously the people run out of the building, and oh my god, I mean. The people run out of the building. They fight the antagonist on the roof or whatever the case may be. The chopper's coming to pick them up, but they gotta fight the antagonist up there, the other antagonist, and then they fly off on a chopper. But then finally, the epic ending of Resident Evil is when it transverses back to Leon and Chris fighting Wesker for the last time, and that's how the game ends. That will be epic because now all three, yes. Jill is not there. You want to throw Jill in there for a 3-on-1 because remember you don't want to do that, but it still would be epic if Jill is in that fight because it's the 3 original characters and you kill and it will be kind of make sense because to have 3 characters, needing 3 characters to beat a force like Wesker makes sense.
That is true. That would make sense.
So
Nah.
I don't know. I just think they gotta end it in an epic way, and obviously my hypothetical may not make sense to a lot of people. They might say you're throwing too much in there, but in what other way can you end Resident Evil? So I don't know. I think like
I go with you, and I even piggyback on that. That maybe call it a money grab or not, because I mean Square Enix is doing it anyway. That iteration needs to be more than one game before we reach that final conclusion.
man, yeah, I guess. I mean I guess that's the only thing that worries
It's a
me.
finalization, but a finalization of like Resident Evil conclusion. But
How
more
many
than one
games do
game.
you want it to be then? Because we're on Resident Evil 8. You're telling me you want a Resident Evil 10?
The way it's going, we might get one anyway.
Yeah, because with the way they're going right now, you just getting into what they want to call a new engine.
Yep.
And they're just starting to spread out what they want to do with it. And you got to think that they're going to want to spread their wings a little bit with this to see where they can go with, see if they can get people to buy into what Resident could look like now in first person.
I guess
Start
because
running around like that.
I mean, I guess business is business, but sometimes this is to me is when business is wrong because when all you're doing is making garbage sequels just to continue the saga because you know people will buy it because of the name is when you kill the story. You know, you kill the story when you drag it, when there's never an ending. And you drag it and you drag it and you drag it. I mean, look how episodic was the conclusion to Uncharted. You know?
Ooh,
Like, that was so great, that ending.
that was well done. Ooh,
That was so well done. And Uncharted only had 3 games. But look how
But I'm
epic that
saying,
conclusion was.
But see, that's the thing. It didn't end. And that's the key. You passing the ball. When you see Uncharted again, you're going to see it with a new protagonist, somebody else coming running with the ball. Uncharted is not ending, bro.
No,
Don't get it twisted.
and if it doesn't end and it continues with the daughter, but the thing is, Resident Evil needs to end the careers of those characters then. If you want to continue it, you need to end the careers of those characters.
That's cool. I can live with that. But
And let
I think
Resident Evil continue.
Story,
Yeah.
right. I think the story needs to continue.
Yeah. And you know what, Frank? You absolutely right. You're hitting it on the nose because it could continue. It could continue, but let it continue with a brand new protagonist, a brand new storyline, like Resident Evil in Germany now, something like that. Like this is Resident Evil in Germany.
But see, that's what I'm saying. But we gotta. This is like what we were talking about with God of War in our last episode. And these people need to be introduced. You need to introduce them. You just
Mm.
can't slam somebody into the game, expect
Yeah.
us
Oh
to love them
yeah.
like we
You're
love
right.
Leon and Chris and Claire. It's not going to happen like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that way. There's a reason we love Leon, Chris, and Claire, and you need to replicate that when you pass the ball or before you pass the ball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely right. Because we did have Metal Gear Solid 1 and we had Metal Gear Solid 2, and we're like, who's this guy with the long hair? That's
Yeah.
not
That's why it
not
didn't
fit.
work out for Raiden, because Raiden was just slapped on and given to us for no apparent reason. It was like they just gave us Raiden. It was like, here you go, guys. You gotta play with him. It's Metal Gear 2. Wait a minute. We thought we was gonna play with Snake. Nope. And what was funny was when that game was getting released, no revelation on who Raiden was. It's almost like they kept him a secret until you played the game. And I was like, who the hell is this freaking guy?
Yeah. Who
Who
the
the
hell
hell
is
is
this
this
kid?
Baywatch dude?
Yeah. Who the hell is this kid?
I mean,
You don't know.
we like the gruffy looking Snake. We don't want this Baywatch looking dude who looks like he came off a tan. Like,
Crazy.
get out of here. But I think you're right, Frank. I think sadly, I'm gonna say sadly because unfortunately that means that we're gonna have to bear at least, just like Brian said, another trilogy of Resident Evils so they can introduce other characters into the game and introduce other protagonists and also introduce brand new antagonists into the game. And sadly, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I sadly it makes me kind of scared for this franchise because I do not want to play up to a Resident Evil 15. I don't like. I don't want to play into another. It's
Yeah,
soon Resident.
yes, you do. Yes, you do. You just want to play it with different characters and different people and a different storyline and maybe a different place. But you do want to still enjoy Resident Evil. You love that franchise and you don't want to see it die. You just want to see it grow.
I okay. I do love the franchise, Frank, but I don't. Maybe it's because I'm in the game funk right now. Because what I'm saying is, it seems like we're playing the same games over and over and over and over again. We're not seeing nothing new. They're living and dying off characters that we grew up with when we were 12 and 13, 14 years old. There's nothing new. Nothing brand new. The last
No.
game I felt the last game that I felt the sensation of actually playing a game and diving into a brand new world and actually feeling like I'm in a story that I got lost in was Last of Us 2. Was the last game that was actually dived in mentally and emotionally.
Yeah,
There's
man.
no game after that that has taken me to their world, that has taken me away from reality. Like when I was playing Last of Us 2, nothing else mattered. Like I was into that game. I wanted to know what happened next. I was worried about characters in that game. I was basically I was in their world, you know? I was immersed in it 100%. What game, I'm going to ask you guys, has taken you to that level? Because now gaming is in a funk right now. It is. I mean, it's almost like we're diving into another new topic, and it's like, but
Really,
No,
though.
just because I mean, I got two things. One, to answer your question, to that level, none. Something that comes close, I'll give Days Gone. Days Gone actually doesn't give
yes,
the
Days
credit.
Gone also is very
Days
good.
Gone actually was something that I was like, yo, I'm interested in what happens next and stuff like that. Frank, you could take over because I mean, for me, it was Days Gone.
Really, I haven't played anything lately with a deep enough storyline for me to even say, you're like, oh, wow, yeah, ooh, yeah, that. I can't really say nothing really grabbing me right now that I could say, yo, yeah, man, I dig that storyline and I'm waiting for the next thing to come out about that. And just hasn't been that. I don't know. I don't know if it's because we don't have any games to play this year or last 2 years or so.
Gaming has been horrible lately.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
been
just
horrible. I mean, I'm still playing
don't have
Apex
that.
Legends, for God's sake. Like, it's been horrible, and I don't know. I'm just in a funk. I'm just in a really bad funk. But that'll basically call our podcast, guys. I mean, let us know down in the comments. Do you want Resident Evil to continue? Do you want Resident Evil to have another trilogy, or do you want it to basically end? Are you done with it? Obviously, we have our new gamers who are not done with Resident Evil. They're experiencing it like it was the first time. I mean, but I believe our generation of gamers who've been with Resident Evil since we were 15, etc. I think we're at that point to finally see our characters have a happy ending, or a happy ending with a tragic result. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. Thank you for joining us. This is Black Shy Guy, Drano.
Got one more thing. One more thing before you
Squeeze it in there, bro.
All right, really quick. Since we talk about Resident Evil, shout out to at least a few antagonists from the Resident Evil. Chief Brian Irons, the guy that had a serial killer. Shout out to him. It was weird. And shout out to Mr. X and Nemesis, the two mustiest people who had no idea, no concept of social distancing in a video game in my life. The stalkers of the millennium.
Well, let me get in. Let me get in just a little bit of trivia for those that might not know that Resident Evil is not an original game. They bit off a game called Alone in the Dark. Guys, in the comments, you go research that.
Yeah, hold on. Show them the Alone in the Dark game. Show them the Alone in the Dark. You got it right there.
Oh, there we go.
Take a look at that, folks. Original PlayStation Alone in the Dark. You know what I mean? You guys don't know about that? But
no man, that's the archives right there. But that's the game that Resident Evil was cloned behind. This is not this is actually, this game came out afterwards because Resident Evil got so popular that they said, you know what, we got to put out Alone in the Dark. This is the game that started it all.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a PC game, and Shinji Mikami played the PC game and made Resident Evil subsequently after.
Okay.
Yep, that's our shout outs, guys. And I know. Hey, it's Resident Evil. Told you guys it's going to be a long topic. You know what I mean? Wait till you see our next topic and the topic after that. But anyway, as the saying goes, this is Black Shy Guy, Drano, and Frank. Thanks for sitting at our table. We out of here. Peace.
Easy.
Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.